this is Shawn, there's Digital Learning Coach for Union County. We're going to go through a rundown of Google Docs. So this is another remake video. We're going to try to hit on some of the updates that have taken place and some different features. I'm going to try to do this a little different. I'm going to try to hit on some of the newer things first, and then kind of go back through some of the more typical user tools. So I'm going to jump over right now. So I've got a doc open. I do want to show you this. This is if I want to kind of launch a doc quickly, I can type in doc.new, and that's actually going to cause me to just launch a brand new blank document. But I've already got one started. This is just a little fable. This is chapter 1 of my Father's Dragon, and I want to show you a couple of things that you might not be aware of. So not the newest tool, but an overlooked one is the fact I can use this Explore tool down at the bottom right, or if I go into Tools, I should have Explore in there. Yeah, right here. If I use this, I can actually grab little bits of information from the internet, but I can also throw in pictures on the fly really easily. So if I come over here to Images, I can just grab a picture and hit Insert, and it's going to be thrown in. And then I can choose how I want to adjust my text based on that picture. And so I now have the freedom to kind of move this around and it be thrown in the middle of the text. I can have it be the precursor to the text. And that's a nice little thing to just be able to do on the fly. And it's still going to include its source materials, where it actually came from. So really neat way of just kind of editing my pictures, adding a little extra to the document. And if you click the Explore tool, it's going to search based on words in your document to kind of help out and see, you might want this, you might want this, and add that to your document. So really neat feature that does get overlooked. Another thing we can look at is I have the citation tool now. And so I can actually, if I know the sources and everything, I can actually run through the different citations and say, this is a printed thing, website, online database. I can change up much quicker on the fly how I'm doing my citation sources. So nice little way of getting your citation added in to it. So I'm going to kind of run through some of those newer things right now. So first thing I want to do is I need to actually increase the size of my document to kind of make this fit a little better for what I want to do. So I'm going to format this, and I want to increase my line spacing. So I'm going to do format, and I want to double the line spacing. I'm doing this because I want more than one document. So this bottom half, I'm going to actually highlight this. There's something I want to do, and I really like this if there's a table that I'm using in a document, is now I can actually turn around and change the orientation of part of my document. And so the second half of my document, I'm going to make it landscaped. And so you see it's now a landscape piece. This is really nice on tables where you're finding, I'm squishing up my data quite a bit. I'm not quite getting it to fit. This lets you expand that out. So really nice little piece that you can add into it and make it fit a little better for your text. And I've got this kind of blank area now that I want to do. Another thing I can do, and this is something that's not new, but it does get overlooked, and just while I'm thinking about just like the formatting of things, is, I might have a student who has vision issues and a white document isn't the best for his or her reading. So I can actually say I want to go to my whole document. I'm going to run back through that real quick. I'm going to go to File, Page Setup here, and I'm going to make sure I have the whole document selected. But now I'm going to choose a page coloring that might be a little easier on their eyes and make that change throughout my document. So it's going to make it where, if I'm reading, it's not so abrasive. Based on the student's need, I can change that. And also, that might be something we teach our students to do, is go in and go ahead and make that adjustment themselves. Now, some overlooked features that can go through, and this is a really nice way of editing and navigating your document. So this first little bit, well, this is my title. So instead of going through and saying, I want this font, this, I actually just jump over here to the styles and say, that's my title. And I can make that adjustment from the get-go. And you can update it and make it where, this is how I always want my titles to be. And then, this is noting it's the chapter, so I'm going to say this is my subtitle, and that actually might be my first header. Now, I'm going to just randomly make this section down here. I'm going to claim this is another header, and I want to show you why I'm doing that. So off to the left over here, and usually this pops up when you first do this, but I've got bookmarks to kind of help navigate through my document. I'm going to add these on the fly and just have it where I can navigate really quickly throughout my document and get to certain sections and, like I said, the different headers. But it's just making things look really nice and neat and organized for myself. And then anybody I turn in paper to as well. Inserting comments. Let's say I was working with a collaborator and I was like, I'm not certain I like this picture. Might just want to get their comments on it. I can do suggested editing, and we're going to go into that over here. So I'm going to show you that a different way. So normally I'm in editing. Now I'm going to go into suggested editing. So right here I can highlight different things, and now I can start putting in comments. Do we like this phrasing? And so whoever I'm working with will be able to look at that, make changes, comment back and forth. They can build off of this and go further. Or they can say, you know what, I'm going to make an adjustment, and then they can come in and hit the check mark and resolve it. And it just goes away. And so same thing, if we come across something and we're like, oh, that should have been capitalized. I edited the document, but you notice it didn't actually change anything. It's just showing that suggested editing. And so that's helping my students grow, and whoever I'm partnering with on a topic like this, a little project, we can go through and make suggestions, and it's going to note that off to the side. And so those suggested editings really help out. And so when I jump back over to editing, I still see these suggestions, but then, you know what, I don't agree with that. I'm going to reject that. And so then that stays. And same thing here. No, that shouldn't have been capitalized. I can actually reject that. And it just kind of keeps record of those ongoing pieces. So that editing piece and the suggesting working together really helps out with working with our students and not fixing the problem for them, but go in, make some little suggestions, and have them actually work their way through editing a document. And nice thing, if you're working with Google Classroom with this, you can be doing this while the student's still working on it, and that connection back and forth to really make it where this fits and flows with them. Another tool that gets overlooked and is really quite handy, especially with our younger group who are still struggling with navigating the keyboards and typing, and that is actually doing voice typing. So if I go over to tools and I come down to voice typing, the moment I click off here and I start actually typing, it's going to put everything that I say down on paper. And it does actually a pretty good job, and it'll actually make little suggestions underneath when it's like, I wasn't quite certain what you said here, so you might want to look back over it. But it allows a student to fill in a paper really quickly without ever actually typing anything out. They'll just have to really go back and check the grammar of it and the punctuation pieces and make sure it picked up on the right word. So rereading is very important on this, but it does pick up very nicely and very quickly. So once again, all that was typed out without me touching a keyboard. One other feature I know I wanted to show off was the page break, and that's sometimes you'll notice, especially students, they'll start a next page and their header might be here, or it just looks funny how they have it broken up. So you can actually force that. And so if I do insert break, I can actually do a page break and just force it down to the next thing. And so that's really handy in kind of making those pictures fit where they need to fit, tables fit where they need to fit, and just your overall flow of your paper without breaking things up. So if I was wanting to say, like, no, this is chapter 2, so having chapter 2 part of the way on the page, I can actually force it down into the next page. So that is a very handy tool. And then the last thing we tend to overlook is the header and footers. We can actually add those both in fall under different criteria for those. So that isn't anything that's missing. And I'm just going to end with a couple of little general things that haven't changed any, and that is just sharing your document. Off to the top right, we have the share. You can select who you want to have access. There are levels if you just want them to view only, if you want them to be editor, if you want to share out a link, and who can actually get that. That's all on that top right under the share. Tool that does get overlooked is the trending. So as a teacher, I can actually see who's viewed this, at what time, how long they were on it, whatever. That is a very handy tool if you really want to see how engaged your class has been in that document that you might have shared out, and see who actually accessed it. And then up here we actually have where we have the pieces saved. If I need to be working offline, I need to go over here and say File, Make Available Offline. If I want to store it in a different folder, I hit the folder to move, and I can send that around. If this is a document I'm going to be working on frequently, I can start, and then when I go back into Google Drive, that's going to be in my favorites group. So just burning through those last little things, because those aren't any real new features. They are things that have been there. Version history is another big one that you really want to make sure you're aware of, and that's just seeing the edits. If I am under a mentality that everything I did was just complete garbage, I can go back to when I first started the document, say, okay, that's too far, so let's look at this. I'm going to expand this out a little bit and say, okay, I prefer when it looked like this, and I can actually restore to that version. I can also go through and name the current versions as well. So you can do that right here, version, name current, and this is day one's work. And so a week later, I can come back and be like, all right, what all have I done? You can actually go back and look. So that's what I have for you today, guys. I do appreciate your time and taking this moment to look over this with me. Once again, this is just kind of a quick rundown of some of the features that Google Docs offers and some things that we tend to overlook. If you need anything, don't hesitate to ask, and reach out to me. Thank you.